Oh my gosh. Oh no, we're live. I'm not feeling ready. Oh my gosh. Well, I'm going to do my best, folks. I kind of have empty notes for the day. By the way, we just got a bunch of incredible information. It is crazy. Pinch me, the world we're living in. Literally, war is upon us in so many tactics. Now, it's silent. It's going under the radar. It's the most clever war tactics we've ever experienced, and we haven't really felt this on these levels as a civilian populace any more than we have as of late. And it seems to me and so many others that they are only investing more and more in these type of tactics, and they're ramping it up more and more. Oh no, should we be shaking in our boots? Absolutely freaking not. Because we outnumber these freaking nimwits. Alright? Like thousands, hundreds of thousands to one. Hundreds of thousands to one. We have nothing to fear. If we could only pull our heads out of you know where, right? And stop engaging in the bread and the circus and frankly the things in this life that just genuinely do not matter. Now, let me say a caveat here. Of course these things would matter if we weren't in a wartime. Of course they matter to all of us. Even during a wartime, I can admit they matter to me. But considering the war tactics, I want to secure what matters by addressing the war tactics to ensure we have the freedoms to engage in what we care about. So it is as though too many are still plugging into the matrix. Yes, not today, Satan. Not today. Welcome to a muzzle chat. Let's just switch things up. I hope you're having a blessed day. I am so grateful to our loving creator God. He just keeps revigorating me, giving me the clarity, the amazing individuals I need in my life. Shout out to John, the Forgotten Soldiers, everyone involved in that platform, everyone that's gained the courage to step forward and share their stories and come on the podcast. Let your voices be heard. That is truly leading by example, and let the haters hate. Come what may. It's so crucial that we fulfill our roles in this life. What's there to fear? Let's do a screen share. Now, we've shown this quite a bit as of late, but I'm not the best read. So maybe I'll even read through this at the end of the episode. It's not that lengthy, but the good old Nuremberg Code, folks. Do words, does the legal system, do laws, does God's law, does justice, does our freedom, does the infringement on our freedoms, the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, does any of that mean anything to us anymore? Does it? Because if it does, by golly, what are we doing? What are we waiting for? With the war tactics that have been deployed up to this point, we'd have to be some type of insane or completely hacked or dumbed down and poisoned and sickened to an extent that we're just engulfed in that more so than willing to face the reality of the situation and world we live in. So do not fear. There's a lot of, depending on what you're struggling with, God's there to pave the way. He's there to breathe light. Look at Jesus Christ. He was able to fulfill miracles, heal the blind. You know the whole list. The God, the creator that breathed light into, made all this come into existence, doesn't have the power to pave a way for us or snap his fingers, perform miracles for us in our lives. What little faith? He 100%. He single-handedly breathed life back into me when there seemingly was none. When I exhausted myself, my finances, loved ones, efforts to support me and seeing me well. So if you're not aware, but the majority of Unmuzzled Chat warriors are aware, I've been fighting Lyme disease. It's an old school bioweapon, and it doesn't even compare to this new age biowarfare. It's horrific, but it got me to a place I was knocking on death's door. And I just know that if God can perform those miracles in my life for me, he absolutely will and can for you or anyone you know. Mark Bashaw, Lieutenant Mark Bashaw, in all his work, freedom fighter right here, folks. What an amazing source of information. I encourage you, we have the link down below to check out all this content and everything that he's engaged in, and so many of our soldiers are engaged in on our behalf to secure our health, laws, freedoms, the whole nine. It's so important. And here we go. John and Scott with the Forgotten Soldiers. Go follow them. Just click his button right there. I'm not going to click it because that will unfollow. Well, look, unfollow, follow. There we go, folks. That's how easy it is. You can click the bell icon on. Instant, daily, weekly, none. Whatever works for you. Rumble is an amazing app. We need to get more people on free speech platforms. These poor souls don't know what they don't know. They don't know what evil does not want them to know. And that's one of the war tactics, clear as day, indisputable, okay? They have clearly done everything they can to maintain the pulpit, so to speak, to maintain the megahorn, right? And label anything else as propaganda. Anything else is misinformation. Well, we have them red-handed, okay? In this very episode, lying, gaslighting us, manipulating us with none other than the pandemic itself. But what a blessing when you can acknowledge and recognize those evildoers that took those talking narratives, those organizations. So on an individual level, on a platform level, on a news outlet level where they're not fulfilling news at all, they're fulfilling their slave masters' orders and their propaganda. That is the world we live in. And look at the Matrix. It's seriously more than a documentary versus a movie, okay? It would be insane to take the blue pill to your detriment with the war tactics they're deploying, just hoping that you don't end up targeted or one of your loved ones end up targeted. It's beyond targeting. It's full, utter control and enslavement the rulers and the evildoers in this world want. And it's a complete destruction of the family unit. It's the bloodlust of the devil himself trying to hurt God. I mean, he is effectively hurting God in a huge way. I can only imagine how he is still sitting back watching what is playing out in our time and not engaging. I can't even imagine. But I know a lot of you are breathing light into him. I know a lot of you are the reason he hasn't just completely stepped in. So while we're here, what better things are there to engage in other than the spiritual warfare? And yes, even the kinetic warfare, the warfare that's happening in this life against our physical beings, our makeup, our bodies, our minds, hindering us from even fulfilling the very purposes to why we're here. So I'm so grateful for men like this in my life. Forgotten Soldiers is doing us all a great service. So that being said, let's do a bit of a throwback here, okay? This is an old school commercial, but let's grasp what they say here. This is incredible actual information to obtain and really absorb, okay? Let's really absorb what they have to say here and put it in comparison to what we just dealt with. Because even if you are somehow still pro-jab, okay, and you believe that COVID shot saved your life, you can't deny that it's killed some people. Some people, okay? So with that, let's watch this, and I'd like your thoughts after.
This is Channel 7's 11 o'clock Action News with Bill Bonds, John Kelly, and Detroit's #1 news team.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Bill Bonds, and here's a look at what's happening tonight. And what's happening is that the swine flu vaccination program ground to a halt from coast to coast today. There have been now 12 reported deaths so far, with victims dying just a few hours after receiving them.
12? I mean, anyone dying from a supposed solution, how can that be called a solution? But in comparison to what we just went through, only 12? Okay, what's the outcome?
Those inoculative shots, all of the victims were elderly persons, and all, we are told, died of apparent heart attacks. In the state of Michigan, the state health director, Maurice Reisen, ordered a stop to all swine flu shots after 3 Michigan men died hours after receiving their vaccinations. Health officials estimate that 10,000 Michigan people have already received their shots, and President Gerald Ford told ABC Television News tonight that he intends to get his vaccination.
Right. This is Channel 7's 11 o'clock Action News with Bill.
All right, did you catch that, or did I talk over it too much? Swine flu vaccine was ground to a halt. It was ground to a halt after 12 deaths. So what I added in the post, yes, I added that. And yet, after millions dying from the COVID death jab, bioweapon, not a vaccine. I mean, if vaccine now means death jab bioweapon, then sure, we can continue to call it a vaccine. But the former definition, the former use of that word that we were under the impression of, like, that no longer exists. Words are supposed to mean something to us. So millions die from the bioweapon labeled COVID-19 vaccine. And yet it is still on the shelves, folks. It is still being injected into human bodies as we speak. Under the guise of safe and effective. Under the guise of this is good for you. And so many of these medical staff, institutions, individuals have been indoctrinated to a point they have become just a useful idiot for Big Pharma. They've no longer been practicing medicine. I'm sorry, ignorance when it comes to these type of war crimes is not gonna... There's no immunity for crimes against humanity, okay? They best get educated. We could help educate them. We could serve the local CVS, Nuremberg paperwork and record it and state, hey, just consider yourself served. I don't believe you should be offering these shots anymore that are killing millions. What are we doing? What are we doing? How? This is proof of the weaponization and how little they think about us, and they actually don't care. All our institutions have been weaponized against us, and it's bigger than profits. They have bigger agendas, bigger plans for us than just making money. We got to get this off the shelves. Let's go through some more information. This is a pretty powerful clip.
This vaccine, if you can call it a vaccine, is new technology applied to almost the entire global population without showing adequate levels of efficacy and safety. And in fact, my first reaction when I heard it was going to be a vaccine, the mRNA, was no, this is too dangerous. When you hear about being
proven
wrapped
now
up in a lipid nanoparticle, we know it's not going to stay in the deltoid muscle. It would never stay in the deltoid muscle as we were promised.
Another lie.
All around the body. It travels to the brain, to the heart, to the blood vessels, travels to the testes and the ovaries.
Proof.
And this is why we're seeing so many people suffering from serious adverse reactions, including
they're not adverse reactions.
Disease.
They're intended consequences. Okay? We can prove it. And we have proved it, and we'll prove it some more, but let's just continue.
Degenerative central nervous system type disorders, autoimmune diseases, and certainly many, many problems, gynecological problems, female problems. This also contains DNA fragments, and DNA and mRNA can transcribe and end up in the nucleus of our cells, including our germ cells. This is so risky. It should never have been injected into a single human being ever. It should never have been injected into a single human being ever.
Ever, folks. Ever. Now, why continue with the COVID talk? The pandemic's supposedly over, right? Well, they continually try to ramp up the bird flu, monkeypox. They want to use these same war tactics. They're using the megaphone. They're trying to shift things into climate change because they could have similar outcomes. Even though it doesn't seem as directly health related, they can have the same type of totalitarian, tyrannical outcomes through playing that other hand of climate change, just like pandemics. I'm too mortal to connect all the dots for you right here, right now. But the simple fact that we all experience that, and it's still on the shelves, that's why we're not going to stop till these get incinerated and pulled off the shelves. Even then, we must not stop. We must rule out, we must bring law and order back in, okay? We can't allow this two-tiered infrastructure anymore, right? Otherwise, worse things are going to come down the pipe. That's just how it is with tyranny. That's how it is with evil and war tactics. And we're far too infiltrated not to address these issues. The egregious, go to the episode just recently with John. He supposedly now has a revised version, an edited version of our cast, and it's right there on the Forgotten Soldiers. In fact, let's go ahead and just click there. Yeah, right here. Crimes against humanity. Okay. What is going on? Where is it? Oh, I just had to refresh. It's this one. Episode 62. But he trimmed the 15 plus minutes of fat out of it, but also integrated great slideshows. I can't wait to watch the whole thing. Fantastic job, John. This is amazing. This truly should go viral. This should be seen by millions. Millions. So that is a call to action for us all. Help John, warriors fighting on behalf of us, help us. We could help him help us by simply viewing, sharing, creating discussions, creating momentum, reaching out to our state officials regarding these bioweapons, demanding that these get pulled off the shelves. Here's the date. Here's where I'm recording it. If you don't obliterate these things by the end of week, we will legally hold you accountable to the highest level we can when these finally are deemed accurately as bioweapons and you allowed it to continue. There would be blood on your hands and we're going to hold you accountable. They're going to listen pretty quick when there's enough of us sending information like that over. They have no choice but not to. And at the point they don't listen, well, let's get more creative. Let's create more solutions together. Because together, that's how we're going to actually see results. Oh, let's set down the mindless entertainment and be excited to do what we can today. There's so much good information to go over. Now, this was something I potentially just wanted to save. Oh, wow. Update to our terms of service and policy. I sure hope that is a good thing and not a bad thing, X. And of course, you have to click got it. This clip here, I more so wanted to save to the end. That's just kind of how I do things. Leave a good momentum, a good feeling in the end. But I believe, and I challenge John just today, and I'll challenge other individuals to, let's really look into this. Let's find out who's behind it and everything, and support not just what they're doing there, but how they got it to this level to where we could start doing this in our own states. Okay? It's so crucial, but this is exciting stuff. Kansas will be the first of 5 states to go after Pfizer. I've said for some time now, if I can't get through to some of the individuals that got the shots, they just don't want to come to terms with the decisions they made and the coercion and the manipulation and the bribing and the threats and all of that. Well, gosh dang it. If you're so wrapped up in this existence and you care a lot about money, couldn't this potentially be the quickest road for you to become a multimillionaire? After all, it's Pfizer and Bayer and these big pharma groups that have paid out the largest criminal settlements in human history in the billions of dollars. Okay? So you have a doctor, you have definitive health record, and then a comparison to after the shot, and it has diminished your experience in this life. Yes, these companies and doctors and individuals and schools and the talking heads, our own government, but we could start with Pfizer, right? Let's just create that momentum. But what a freaking blessing. What a gift. Let's just dive into this information and let it fuel you as to what we can create together.
Thank you for being here today. We brought together this press conference to make the following announcement, and that is today Kansas is filing a civil suit against the Pfizer Corporation under the Kansas Consumer Protection Act, seeking enhanced civil monetary penalties, damages, and injunctive relief for misleading and deceptive statements made in marketing its COVID-19 vaccine. Pfizer also violated previous consent judgments with the state of Kansas, in which Pfizer promised never to use deceptive information to market their products.
Deceptive information, which they did 100%. And if in fact we just pop over here into the Nuremberg, right here, the voluntary consent of human subject is absolutely essential. But without the intervention of any element of force, fraud, deceit, duress, overreaching, oh my gosh, do we have them. All of them, if we effectively unite. Just right there what this man presented, and we got all the evidence, all the factual information that John even brought in on that last episode. We entirely have them. What are we waiting for? What are we fearful of? It's not something, maybe we'll do. No, we absolutely should do and must do. And if we do not do it, if we choose not to care or do it, then I legitimately question men that say they love their children and their families. Like, I know that seems harsh, but if you love your family and your children as a man, don't you feel obligated to protect them? Well, then we must face this tyranny. We must face the reality of the world we live in and the war crimes and the crimes against humanity, because it's not just this particular shot, okay? There's other means, other warfare and tactics and poisoning that's happening as we speak to your loved ones. Indisputably. And it's something you can't protect them more so of unless we stop it from continuing. So I just wanted to point that out. Let's continue with, this is so good.
Kansas's case is the first of a multi-state collaboration, with Kansas being the first of 5 states to file suit. Before I go further, let me put this in context. As we all know, during the COVID-19 pandemic, there was a great deal of panic and anxiety.
Right.
Many people who were elderly or who suffered from various medical conditions had already died when the vaccines became available. And when that time came, when the vaccines became available, every one of us had to make 2 decisions. Am I going to take the vaccine? And if so, which vaccine will I choose to take?
It's not a vaccine.
And these decisions were being made in a hurry. In some ways, you could say even being made under duress.
Right.
In such an environment, it is imperative that Kansans making that decision receive the truth.
Yes, it's
They
imperative.
needed the truth. All Americans needed the truth.
Mm-hmm.
And in multiple respects, Pfizer did not provide the truth.
It's correct.
Much of the information in this lawsuit came out as a result of a FOIA lawsuit seeking information from Pfizer that still had not been made public. And it was only a result of that effort that some of the information in this lawsuit is available.
Wow.
I urge everyone to read the 69-page complaint that goes into great detail about the specific statements that were made and the misleading nature of those statements made to Kansas consumers. The following is a quick summary of, I think, some of the 4 most egregious examples of misleading the public in Kansas.
Oh, this is so
Pfizer
crazy.
marketed its vaccine as safe for pregnant women. However, in February of 2021, Pfizer possessed reports for 458 pregnant women who received Pfizer's COVID-19 vaccine during pregnancy. More than half of the pregnant women reported an adverse event, and more than 10% reported a miscarriage, many within days of the vaccination. Pfizer also possessed information from its own October 2020 study on pregnancy in rats, indicating that its COVID-19 vaccine was likely linked to infertility, loss of litters, and stillborn offspring.
Do you understand? I could go back to the Nuremberg. We're going to read it right after this. I tell you what, because there's line items in there that specifically explain and prove that this is an egregious crime against humanity, everything they were able to do. And it's just mind-blowing. Like, I mean, I get it. During the hype, they ramped up the fear porn very well. They did. And we didn't understand fully how much we were being manipulated through mainstream. Now I say more so like traditional news. It's not news. We were too blindly entrusting. We were more so tapped into the matrix, and you know, the individuals that were running the matrix were doing a good job at confining us into staying into the freaking matrix. No wonder when people break out and start trying to warn the masses, and they create a following, this and that. There's so many doctors. It's not just from the medical side of things. It's whistleblowing from political corruption, things to that nature too. Like, why did Julian Assange get thrown away for telling the truth for over 15 years? Like, unbelievable. Okay. So many, hundreds of individuals have been threatened, prisoned, suicided, murdered, breaking out of the matrix. Evil is running this dang show. That's why I'm stating, like, let's not get wrapped up in their bread and circus and the luxuries of this existence. We're visiting here, and we're in this era. There is a responsibility, a duty for us all to fulfill in this era. And it isn't just being blue-pilled. You'll miss your opportunity. And that's sad because everyone has very awesome gifts that would lead to great blessing, not just to themselves, but their loved ones and the world as we know it. It's a very exciting time. I get it's scary and it's hard to absorb the truth. It's hard to take that red pill because we've been fooled. We've been duped. And they're fighting so hard with the information. You know what? I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's wrap this one up.
Number 2, safety relating to heart conditions like myocarditis.
Yes.
Pfizer consistently denied any evidence of a connection or safety signal between its COVID-19 vaccine and myocarditis or pericarditis.
Yes, they even said misinformation.
On January 18th, 2023,
unbelievable.
When asked whether its vaccine caused strokes or myocarditis, Pfizer chairman and CEO Alan Berla stated, quote, "We've not seen a single signal, although we have distributed billions of doses," end quote.
Lies.
A signal that he was referring to as a safety signal, which refers to a negative consequence. However, as Pfizer knew, the United States government, the United States military, foreign governments, and others had found that Pfizer's COVID-19 vaccine caused myocarditis and pericarditis.
Right. Wow.
Number 3, effectiveness regarding variants. Pfizer also claimed that its COVID-19 vaccine protected against COVID-19 variants, even though data available at the time showed Pfizer's vaccine was effective less than half the time against variants. Finally, transmission. Pfizer urged Americans to get vaccinated in order to protect their loved ones, clearly indicating a claim that Pfizer's COVID-19 vaccination stopped transmission of COVID-19. Pfizer later admitted that it had never even studied transmission of it after its recipients received the vaccine and whether they could say it stopped transmission. After making these misleading statements, Pfizer also engaged in some censorship attempts. Emails reveal that Pfizer officials coordinated with social media platforms to censor any speech critical
and our government
of Pfizer's COVID-19 vaccine safety and effectiveness. It should also be noted that Pfizer elected not to join the federal government's vaccine development program known as Operation Warp Speed and declined that development funding. When asked about that, Pfizer's CEO, Albert Bourla, said Pfizer did not participation in the program in order to, quote, liberate, end quote, Pfizer's scientists and to avoid government oversight of its vaccine development. He also said, quote, they want reports. I don't want to have any of that, end quote. Referring to they, when he said they, he was referring to the federal government. Pfizer's misleading statements contributed to success in marketing its vaccine in Kansas. By February of 2024, Pfizer had delivered over 3.3 million doses of its vaccine in the state of Kansas. This accounted for over 60% of all vaccine doses given in the state of Kansas. This suit is being filed today, and as I mentioned before, it is part of a multi-state effort in which more suits may follow depending on Pfizer's reaction. But this is about marketing products to the public. As I think most people know, the federal government conferred immunity on the vaccine manufacturers for tort suits seeking damages from injuries they received. But that did not free any of the vaccine manufacturers from their obligation to not mislead the public or make deceptive statements in marketing it. So this is principally about the marketing efforts that were made and how they contradicted what the company knew. Thank you.
I want to applaud this man. I want to applaud what they're doing, what they're exposing. It's got to start somewhere. And it is so crystal stinking clear. I just had to kick off some tunage to make sure I don't get too ramped up and upset over here. But right here, folks, come on. The Nuremberg Code, directives for human experimentation. Okay? You can read all this jargon here, but let's just dive into the 10 and see for yourself as to the infringement. There is no immunity. So cool, cute. They're going after the marketing, okay? And it could lead to billions, right? Mega lawsuits. We need to get behind Kansas in their efforts. We need to turn that momentum into each state. And the more momentum we build, then It ends up because more even through this action will get awakened, because when even others not in the know that got all the boosters for all of their family are going to start coming across some of these suits and the data they're bringing forward on the misleading, on the coercion, on the fraud, on the force, the distress, the overreaching, and they will seek more information. It'll lead to mass awakening and great momentum. Let's freaking go. So number one, the voluntary consent of the human subject is absolutely essential. That was out the window. Think about all the manipulation. Get this or you lose your job. Get this or you're kicked out of the military. Get this or you can't travel. Or you can't go into a restaurant. So, voluntary. Heck, they even stated this was a pandemic of the unvaccinated. My goodness, guys, we had ivermectin, HCQ, basic vitamins, supplementation, grounding, the sun, actual general taking care of your health. Yes, even for the high risk and elderly cancerous individuals, more so, would just shake off this defined COVID illness. No problem. Okay. We didn't need it. This was all manipulation of information. We must see the bigger picture, but let's just see the infringements. So this means that the persons involved should have legal capacity to give consent. What happened to consent? Gone. Another infringement. Should be situated as to be able to exercise free power of choice. Another infringement. Unbelievable. Without the intervention of any element of force, fraud, deceit, duress, overreaching. All of those are infringed upon. This is crimes against humanity from the Nuremberg. Experimentation. I don't get it. Just based on number one here, not even getting through all the way of number one as to how the masses aren't completely setting down their lives. Because ultimately, with what took place, there's worse things coming unless we address this. 100%. How delusional, how disconnected do we have to be? But let's continue. Or other ulterior forms of concentration or coercion. Another infringement. So much coercion. And should have sufficient knowledge and comprehension of the elements of the subject matter involved as to enable him to make an understanding and enlightened decision. We didn't have that. All their inserts were blank, folks. Another infringement. Unbelievable. This latter element requires that before the acceptance of an affirmed decision by an experimental subject, there should be made known. This is unbelievable. Made known to him in nature, duration, and purpose of the experiment, the method and means by which it is to be conducted, all inconveniences and hazards, responsibility to be expected, and the effects upon his health or person which may possibly come from his participation in the experiment. Just talking about informed consent. It wasn't there. Right here, it even explains the duty and responsibility for asserting the quality of the consent rests upon each individual who initiates, directs, and engages with this experiment. So this makes every single pharmacist, doctor, nurse, entirely responsible 100%. It is a personal duty and responsibility which may not be delegated to another with impunity. Holy smokes. This, if words mean anything to us, if history means anything to us, if experience in this life means anything to us, if our health, our f***s mean anything to us, what are we doing? Number 2, the experiment should be such as to yield fruitful results for the good of society, unprocurable by other methods or means of the study, and not random or unnecessary in nature. That was infringed upon 100%. Number 3, the experiment should be so designed and based on the results of animal experimentation and knowledge of the natural history of the disease or of the problem under the study, that the anticipated results will justify the performance of the experiment. This was totally infringed upon. It was in fact proved prior. No, this is why Pfizer didn't want us to have any of the documentation for 70 years. They knew it was in fact going to cause, and this is why it's more so we could hone in when you look at the patents, when you look at everything that was behind this actual planned pandemic, then you realize, whoa, this was war. This was a war tactic, and it was far too effective. And we're not doing anything about it. It's just crazy. So anyway, number 3, entirely infringed upon. Number 4, the experiment should be so conducted as to avoid all unnecessary physical and mental suffering and injury. This was infringed upon. They knew. I mean, just the facts, what he brought up with the pregnancies and also the myocarditis and the mental suffering, the neurological defects. Unbelievable. Like, how dumb do they think we are? And in a huge way, we are as dumb as they think we are. Because what are we doing? Going back to delusionally a life of normacy without addressing these things. Like, no more. The information's out. We could seize this opportunity, this moment. It would be delusional to think our life of normacy is more important than engaging in the war that's diminishing everything we love. There's a disconnect. Let's get back. Let's snap out of it. Let's free ourselves. Okay? Number 5, no experiment should be conducted where there is a prior reason to believe that death or disability, injury will occur, except perhaps in those experiments where the experimental physician also serves as the subject. I kind of like that. So if they want to volunteer themselves when there seems to be risk, great. But other than that, no experiment should be conducted where there is a prior reason to believe that death or disability or injury will occur. Totally infringed upon. They had all the evidence. Number 6, the degree of risk to be taken should never exceed that determined by the humanitarian importance of the problem to be solved by the experiment. Whoa. Okay. You could tell me if I'm interpreting this wrong, but the degree of risk, let's say, to their solution, in fact, has exceeded the actual problem that they were trying to solve. And it's saying it should never exceed that. It totally infringed. Mind blown. Do we even care about Nuremberg? Do Do we care about our history? What it's right here. Number 7, proper preparations should be made and adequate facilities provided to protect the experimental subject against even remote possibilities of injury, disability, or death. There was not proper preparations made and adequate facilities to provide that would even save these individuals from their own shots. I mean, my gosh, it was weaponized to where even people that got them, like, nope, this is a pre-existing issue. They didn't, like, to this day, they're trying to not have the actual symptoms correlate to the shot itself. Poor Alexis Lorenz. But it doesn't even have to be the COVID vaccine, folks. They've weaponized all of this. Our medical institutions is just one of the legs of the tentacles of this war machine that is engaging all these war tactics. It's just one of the war tactics being engaged. Let's properly acknowledge it for what it is. 8, the experiment should be I'm sorry. I'm getting lost here. The experiment should be conducted. There's a lot of like repetitive talk, so I guess I'm getting a bit confused as to what I read and haven't. Only by scientifically qualified personnel. The highest degree of skill and care should be required through all stages of the experiment of those who conduct or engage in the experiment. Yeah, that wasn't done. Infringed. 9. During the course of the experiment, the human subject should be at liberty to bring the experiment to an end. Even during the pandemic, this was infringed upon due to the murderous hospital protocol. So many individuals, like, they couldn't even pull their loved ones out of these facilities. Unfreaking believable. But how they even continued with the additional boosters infringes upon this, like right here. If he has reached a physical or mental state where continuation of the experiment seems to him to be impossible. And then 10. This is powerful. During the course of the experiment, the scientists in charge must be prepared to terminate the experiment at any stage. Do we need to go back to this old school news clip regarding swine flu? The swine flu vaccine ground to a halt after 12 deaths, folks. We've had thousands. Oh my gosh. There's so much information. There's so much to dive into. But just in our professional sports, it was between 5 and 10. We would have people kind of drop, faint on a field. Never more than 10. But once this vaccine roll out, there have been thousands. Look at the news. People on the news passing out. The hundreds of clips of that and individuals on stage. Look at the content creators. I came across a video that had thousands of content creators that actually took Pfizer money to promote the shot that not only had health issues, but thousands have died from the vaccine. Thousands. 12. Must be prepared to terminate the experiment at any stage. Yet it's still on the shelves. It's still getting injected into arms. There's reports where people even go in for the flu shot, which you shouldn't get even a flu shot. But they went in for the flu shot and they found out they integrated it with the COVID bioweapon shot as well. And they didn't want that. Unbelievable. If he has probable cause to believe in the exercise of the good faith, superior skill of careful judgment, man, what a word salad, required by him that a continuation of the experiment is likely to result in injury, disability, or death to the experimental subject. So, without all the word salad, they must be prepared to terminate the experiment at any stage when it is likely to result in injury, disability, or death. All of those, 100% this bioweapon has achieved. And we haven't terminated it. It's a total infringement on every single line item stated in the Nuremberg Code. Every line item. Crimes against humanity. Can we just smack some truth into some folks? What more information? We can go. All right, we got a lot. Okay. So, and we've connected the dots. We've proved it beyond a shadow of doubt. We've shown literally the millions that are suffering and that have died. Okay. Just 2-hour-long episodes on Rumble of young individuals that have died suddenly, all receiving this shot. All of them. Young people, healthy people. Let's just continue because it's not just the COVID shot. Okay? The whole system's been weaponized. You want proof? Just give us a listen.
My name is Dr. Brian Hooker, and I am a vaccine safety scientist serving as a Chief Scientific Officer of Children's Health Defense. The law was amended to essentially erect a liability shield protecting vaccine manufacturers, and the schedule expanded dramatically. By 2023, 73 doses of 16 different vaccine formulations were given to children up to age 18. The FDA approved these formulations individually only with minimal and inadequate safety testing, and the CDC has never tested the cumulative effect of the vaccine schedule on childhood health outcomes.
Never have tested? Right there, parents. You would have to be bat shite out of your freaking mind to even consider, oh, but my school. Well, we need to change that, don't we? There are exemptions, by the way, and there's other means to satisfy that with actually injecting these bioweapons, these foreign substances into your child's body. It is not more loving. It is not more care. It is not more effective. It is not going to lead to more health in your child. And I can profoundly, confidently speak out on this because I've done my research, which every parent should do. Every loving parent should do. Once again, we're more so projecting that we love them at the point we're not doing our research in order to effectively protect them. And when you do your research and you come to find out what's good for your child and not good for your child, you're more so fulfilling the love you have for them. That's just facts. I mean, let's go. You know what? Boom. Pull that up. Thanks, John. We knew this 4 years ago. Wow.
However, independent researchers have assessed the outcomes of vaccinated versus unvaccinated children. This demonstrates that vaccinated children...
Look at that graph, okay? And we have John's comment pulled up. Why did it take so long? Yeah, they have completed their plan to an extent. In a way, could it be possible that these injections are what are creating the rift, what are creating a lot of the disconnect for people beyond just a false core belief by drinking the Kool-Aid and through the fear porn? Could it be more? Could it be what the World Economic Forum talking about, that they currently have the technology to control the masses, that humans are now hackable animals? Is that now a hacked individual? As far as, yes, like they may have completed their plan. It's a great question. Why is it taking so long? Yeah, why? With the childhood vaccine schedule, why is it still available on the shelves? Why is it taking so long? I know the answer. It's just because we, the masses, haven't properly acknowledged these type of war tactics, these more so silent war tactics, the manipulation through information and all these other things. That's why our health is so crucial. And to obtain the right to free speech is insanely important. Insanely. Imagine, had they not taken out Parler, how many more lives would have been saved? How much more of this information? I mean, we may have ended that pandemic even before people got purged and kicked out of the military. But they had to shut down the free speech platforms to the best of their abilities to continue the momentum they were gaining on their pandemic, on this particular war tactic for us all. But now it's you almost got to have some kind of cognitive dissonance and this disconnect to not with the free speech platforms. But then again, this topic, I can't even play this singular clip on TikTok without it being banned. I can't play this on ScrewTube without it being banned. So the mass population are still using because they're not valuing free speech and acknowledging the threat. Anything that's infringing on we're not a free people without free speech. So why are we catering to platforms that don't support free speech? So you won't know the truth when you continue on these tyrannical platforms. We must get the hordes, everyone over to only then will you have an opportunity to be free. Only then. Otherwise, you're living under an illusion of being free. How could you argue that otherwise? It's clear. Look at these graphs. The difference between children that didn't get the shots versus got the shots. It is incredible. And it's correlating to so many issues. 1 in 36 kids have autism. 1 in 12 kids have, it's actually 1 in like 34 now, but 1 in 12 have food sensitivities. 1 in 5 have asthma. Asthma. I know how to say it, but I don't, for some reason I'm tripping up on it. 1 in 40 have childhood depression. Think about the neurological dysfunction it's causing, or the dopamine imbalance, the cortisol, and all the things that lead to depression. It's messing up our systems in ways we can't even fathom. 1 in 5 kids have mental health disorder. 1 in 200 kids have OCD. 1 in 285 kids will be diagnosed with cancer before their 20th birthday. Unbelievable. All these stats. Yes, it is scary, but we have an opportunity to share this with the masses and more so address it to minimize futuristic. Like, that is seizing the moment. Let's bust out of the matrix. Staying within the matrix. I get it. But how are you fulfilling the bigger picture as to why we're even here? Why would you become so wrapped up into this existence when you know you're just a visitor here? You're only visiting. There's a bigger plan. And when you study the Bible and you feel God's love, our real Creator's love, not under the deceitful love of the devil, under the guise of love, destroying and killing and, just trying to upset our loving Creator, it just becomes clear. And that's what's more so important. Now, it is a blessing to be in this time, in this spiritual warfare, and this kind of warfare happening, because you get drawn to that light. You could see clearly the evil being deployed, and it just makes it I mean, I just wonder if I wasn't born in this era at all, would I have any faith at all? So there is a great blessing to this. That's if we're willing, if we choose. Too many are choosing to stay plugged into the matrix as though football freaking matters. I'm sorry, at this point, it doesn't. Not even a lick. But if we properly address things and we get out the junk and make that more so a sport again versus entertainment, that would be an amazing day. It would be awesome to be able to tap into that type of competition. And there's a lot of good that could be in there. But during a wartime, not a lick, folks.
Were at least twice as likely to be diagnosed with developmental delays, ear infections, and gastrointestinal disorders. The likelihood of an asthma diagnosis among the vaccinated group was 4.5 times higher than the unvaccinated group.
So sad.
For each of the autoimmune, neurodevelopmental, and other disorders considered, the unvaccinated group fares much better, with incidence rates between 4 and 20 times lower than their vaccinated counterparts. Name is Dr.
I'm gonna have to. Was that volume a little too loud? Let me know. The other one was a little quieter, and I don't know if this soundboard is influencing it much, but that dang near blew out one of my eardrums. So good. Oh boy, what just happened? It just glitched out. All right, here he is. We will expose your global agenda. I like this Australian senator. The pandemic was a planned, global, coordinated, decades in advance. 100% a pandemic. Let this sink in, please. Especially to those who are asleep. Even more so, let it sink into those that are awake. Because if you're awake, let me ask you, what are you doing today about it? Are you just playing into the matrix? Or are you tapping into why you're here? We can't ignore this war. We just can't. I'm sorry. You could choose to, but just know with your decision, we're either going to lead to freedom, free speech, accountability, and the gallows and taking out evil so they can't prey on the innocent anymore, or through your decision, it's going to lead to mass graves, enslavement, more manipulation, more tyrannical control. That's where we're at. Can you see that? Do you see that? And the devil owns a fence, man. I'm telling you. If you haven't come to these conclusions and the devil owns a fence.
It's become clear that people in this country and globally have been steamrolled. It is also clear that it has been coordinated globally. It is also clear that it has been integrated, not just over 6 months, not just over 2.5 years, but it has been planned over decades.
Yes.
The changes to legislation in this country were done so that they could control doctors and people. But the people are waking, and it's thanks to people like Dr. Altman and all the presenters here today, thanks to people like Senator Babette and Craig Kelly. We know and we knew that this is all bullshit and that we've been had.
Yes.
But we are going to hound you down, the people that are guilty. We are going to hound you down.
Let's
and
go.
Hold you accountable. And we will expose your global agenda so that the people of Australia can be free in the future. Because I love my kids.
Yes.
And I'm looking forward to my grandkids. And we are going to save this country.
That's a man right there. That's what we need. Without addressing that, you're just caught up in the matrix. I get that your job as a man is important in providing for your kids. I get that. But if we're not tapping into the reality of the war that's being waged on us and our children as we speak, you're falling short. You just are. By not recognizing and acknowledging and showing up. Once again, I'm not here to tell you. you make that decision, it's going to lead to more enslavement and more suffering of our loved ones. So if you deem by your own standards, you would be falling short. If you deem protecting your family as one of the roles of you being a father, or just being a man and a brother, or a woman even is a protector, because there's warrior women, right? They want to take that protective role. They don't want their child to burn themselves on the stove. So it's collectively, right? Even young ones. Don't you feel a level of responsibility to ensure the health and well-being of your elders, your parents, your grandparents? Well, then there's a level of engagement that must be done here. And I just frankly don't get the disconnect anymore with the floodgates opening. The only reason I understand ignorance really is due to the weaponization of words, right? And that type of cultish, drink the Kool-Aid, like people aren't free in their own minds, and they're more so indoctrinated through the falsehoods, through the gaslighting of controlled platforms. That's why we got to get people off, to get them to free themselves, to even properly acknowledge and see the reality of the situation, to become a real man such as this and show up, be convicted. I mean, how much more evidence do we need? This is pretty powerful, but it's even also some soft talk, this Dr. Malone fella.
We must acknowledge that the genetic COVID-19 genetic injections cause far more harm than good, and 100%. Provide zero benefit relative to risk for the young and healthy.
Yes.
They do not reduce COVID-19 infection, which is treatable and not terminal. Furthermore, the most recent data demonstrates that you are more likely to become infected or have
more likely
or even death if you've been vaccinated compared to the unvaccinated people. This is shocking to hear, but it is what the data are showing us. The data now show
indisputable
that these experimental gene therapy treatments can damage your children as well as yourself. They can damage your heart, your brain, your reproductive tissue, and your lungs. This can include permanent damage and disablement of your immune system.
Plus, with Lyme disease, the way it impairs the immune system, your immune system goes down. Wow, you're in a world of hurt. You end up just fighting for something to breathe light back into your life. It's why it's so important that we regulate and balance our hormonal system, our nutrition, which is becoming centralized, folks. They're adding more and more poisoning, more and more things labeled food is not food. It's not nutritional. And people think they're immune to eating McDonald's and all these fast foods that is completely controlled and by individuals. It's the same ones at the top that rolled out this pandemic, folk. That's just another tentacle is to war tactics to dumb us down, get us right where they want us. Oh, it's so sad. It breaks my heart. Now, let's not lose sight of the opportunities we have. I just want us to properly acknowledge the reality of the life we live in so we can get on board and create the momentum we need. Okay? And if you don't feel like boldly reaching out to your state officials, well, comment, like this episode, share this episode. That will gravely help you and help us helping you. That's how it just works in this digital space. Bring 10 more people on that you know to follow Unmuzzled Chat. I assure you, with the proper momentum, I'm going to get better at what I do. Unfortunately, it's a one-man band. I'm a limited being. But if finances and things blew up to where I could bring in a technician, then we could break this up even more, get more of a social media, I guess, what would you even call that? Just more content out there, more of a presence on all these platforms would lead to more momentum, more solutions all around. A lot of the patriots out there, even though Charlie Kirk and certain individuals are doing great things, they're really not exposing the big picture. I mean, I love that he brings in God. I do. But I also see how, and that's why we're going to be going into it with the Schofield Bible and certain things got radicalized Christians to more so support Zion. They become Zionists and they become led astray. Like, it's relationship with our Creator over any religion. The evil in this life is so effectively leading us astray. But anyway, these patriots, so many of them are grifting to their personal gains over actual results. And a lot of them are doing it in a way that it's part of the bread and circuits. It's part of this division and not really seeing past it and how we could assemble and create the real solutions ourselves. So to see past the fluff, if you will, to just directly become the solutions we need, more so than attributing to the illusion of a solution by donating to Turning Point, which is doing good things. Once again, it is. But let's become and create the solutions ourselves. We shouldn't be entirely reliant. I know we all want a pill solution. We all want, just a... no. We can't afford to do that anymore. So do not discredit the impact you can have. You 100% are the exact solution we all need. And through unison, we will find them solutions.
The Pfizer COVID vaccine tested on stopping the transmission of the virus before it entered the market.
No.
If not, please say it clearly. If yes, are you willing to share the data with this committee? And I really want a straight answer, yes or no, and I'm looking forward to it. Thank you very much.
Regarding the question around, did we know about stopping humanization before it's entered the market? No.
Then what the... Okay. What in the frick is going on? Can't we can connect this together, okay? I'm about to lose my mind. No. Then where did the safe and effective narrative come from? Okay? That infringes on all of this here, folks. The element of force, fraud, deceit, duress, overreaching, the consent. Unbelievable. No? Then there shouldn't have been any experiment at all. We shouldn't even be in a place of terminating what is still on the stinking shelves. No? Experiment is no on the likely result of injury, disability, or death. They have control. They've effectively, come on, let's be frank. Let's see the picture. Let's say it for what it is. They frankly controlled the information to gaslight, deceive, lie to the mass population so effectively that big corporations, big businesses followed suit. Our military, they've purged our military, folks, of the most morally upright men. I've posed the question in many posts. If they were willing, if they got, they were too effective. So the individuals that still serve were willing to just follow orders, even though, yes, they were criminal. They were illegal orders. What other orders would they be willing to follow? because the men that got the boot clearly wouldn't follow illegal criminal orders. If they were weaponized against we the people, told, and this is horrific, you're like, oh, it would never come to that. Are you kidding me? We have bombshell information exposing the last part of this episode that we're already going on longer, so I'm getting too chatty. I need to get direct to the point. But could it be possible that our own military, our own police precincts could potentially be turned against we the people, to where the actual guns are turned toward we the people? We have proof, okay? And they're preparing and gearing up for, it seems, just that, which is definitely a great threat. It's definitely a scary thought, but we can't be afraid of thoughts. We can't be afraid of the facts and the potential possibilities. But we got some pretty bombshell news coming up here shortly. Let's wrap this one up, though.
We had to really move at the speed of science to really understand.
Go ahead and try to excuse your infringement on the infringement of the Nuremberg Code, our constitutional rights, the Bill of Rights, our God-given rights, our body. Unbelievable. These individuals are so evil. They believe their own evil deeds. It's incredible.
And what is taking place in the market. And from that point of view, we had to do everything at risk.
At risk. Yes, they lied to us.
I really do believe that the federal government is captured. And it's captured by corporate interests. The entire U.S. population, as well as the world, has to understand they can no longer take these COVID vaccines. They are toxic and lethal and ineffective, that they have completely failed. They can only be viewed as harmful, and they need to be stopped.
And does it damage the brain? You bet it does. Does it damage the heart? Yes. The liver? Yes. The bone marrow? Yes.
It breaks my heart with the impacts Lyme has had on my brain. Do you not care about your brain function or your loved ones? I'm telling you, we got to come to terms with what has taken place so we can actually together find the proper solutions to gain back the health and the brain function. Is that the disconnect? Is that why people aren't understanding the threat as to how we're not free if we don't even have free speech? In the majority of these platforms, we don't have it. I'm telling you, try to post any one of these clips on your TikTok. See what happens. Try to post these clips on YouTube. See what happens. You are not free on those platforms. And you stay on them, you're not free in your own mind. Don't we get that? Now, I get it. The majority of my Muzzle Chat family, you get it. I'm just trying to provide the content and the proper verbiage to bring others into the light for you, if you will. If this can be a tool, because I get it. You try having this conversation with a lot of your family members, it doesn't bode over very well. Let me go to war on your behalf. Share this with them. I love your family members. That is the intent, out of love, because it is not more loving to live in ignorance and denial as to what is actually taking place. It's more loving to show up on the front lines and combat the actual propaganda, the fictional narratives, everything these warriors are stating right here.
Body. We should have stopped this before it ever started.
It's
misinformation from the CDC, the FDA.
Boom! Misinformation from who's the misinformationists? Evil projects what they themselves are fulfilling. What a blessing to have all this information. Let's not be fearful. They are the propagandists. They are the conspiracy theorists. They are fulfilling the very definitions of the words they're using as they're using them. And they're combating truth seekers and truth tellers. Why? Because they don't want us healthy. They don't want us to be able to cognitively connect these dots and fight back against their regime, their two-tiered infrastructure, their globalist agenda. That's where it's beyond. It is bigger than politics. Okay? Oh, we got much to get to, but I have so much to say.
The American Board of Obstetrics and Gynecology, the American College of OBGYN, the Society of Maternal Fetal Medicine, it's a misinformation from those organizations.
Yes.
That is causing a lot of death and injury in my women of reproductive age, my pregnant women, and my preborn babies. And it's got to stop, and it's got to stop now.
That was an OBGYN. He's specifically talking about his patients and women. This is happening, folks. This is World War III. This is This is fifth generation warfare. We're not privy to the next tactic till it seems, unfortunately, it's too effectively already deployed. We must grasp this. Let's go. This is exciting. I mean, it sucks that it's happening, right? But we must do what we can to put a stop to it, to even have a fair shake at freedom or a healthy life for our loved ones. That's just the reality.
And for the vaccines broadly, we have no idea what's going to happen long term now that they're in the body. Studies suggest that the vaccines and the spike protein that's produced from them never leaves the human body.
Oh, boy.
The first and most important thing, don't take any more vaccines. Don't take any more boosters. Do not take any more of these dangerous experimental therapies.
Yes, they did. And they're still poisoning us, folks. It's not just through the medical systems. It's not just through the shots.
Dear colleagues and supporters, we declare that Pfizer, Moderna, BioNTech, Janssen, and AstraZeneca and their enablers willfully withheld and omitted crucial safety and effectiveness information from patients and physicians who should be immediately indicted for fraud.
Yes.
We know that shortly after administration of these products, thousands of people have died. And although correlation isn't causation, reasonable criterion have been applied to examine the relationship between injections and the events, and it's absolutely clear-cut that these are the cause of death. Mechanistically, the design of these products was knowingly deficient in a number of ways. First, they caused the expression in the human body of toxic virus spike protein.
Thank you, Boo. 100% facts.
They told us that it would stay in the injection site. They distribute widely around the body. There is no built-in limit to the amount of toxic spike protein that can be made or for how long it is made. And that's the cause of the toxicity. Turning to the clinical trials, there is evidence of questionable practices all around. For example, several of the studies were clearly unblinded while they were ongoing, contrary to best practice. And also, in a number of cases, subjects were removed from the database prior to statistical analysis in a way that is suggestive of fraud. We were given blanket assurances time and again by all of the companies about the benign safety profile of their products. Even as the products rolled out in the earliest weeks, they must have known this was not true. To add insult to injury, it appears that these products provide little or no protection from the virus that they sought to protect us from.
None. Not little. Absolutely no protection.
Two questions get asked when people have hesitancy or reluctance to get vaccinated. Did you go too quickly?
What a
is the first.
freaking rat.
The answer to that is the speed was a reflection of extraordinary scientific advances and did not compromise safety, nor did it compromise scientific integrity.
Oh my god.
The next question is, okay, but what about the fact, is it really safe and is it really effective? Or is this something the government is trying to put over on us? Is this something the companies want to take advantage of? Well, let's take a look at what's happened over the past few months.
Wow.
I'm going to be very clear about this, and I've recently just testified in the U.S. Senate, December 7th, 2022. The vaccine is killing people, and is killing large numbers of people. It fulfills all the criteria
How's
for
Fauci not in prison?
tenets of causality.
How is he not hanging from a noose is an example that we won't allow crimes against humanity. How is that type of comment deemed hate speech or inciting violence when they in fact fulfilled murderous protocols under the guise
we don't know if these vaccines will work.
How is he free?
We don't know if they'll work to avoid deaths. We don't know if they'll work to avoid transmission.
Unbelievable.
That's why we're working on so many first-generation vaccines.
I demand civil tribunals, military tribunals on these evildoers. These are the puppets. We actually need to take it all the way up to the instigators behind it all, the ones that fund and planned this all. If we don't, wow, what's next? And I'm telling you, it isn't inciting violence, trying to have proper justice, and yes, the death penalty of these so many of these evildoers that have led to millions of deaths on something that was not effective, that was not safe, that's not inciting violence. That's stopping violence. That's stopping evildoers to committing murder. The world we live in.
How do we know if these vaccines are working?
You'd like it to be very safe in all the populations that you indicated for, no side effects. And then you'd like it to avoid the individual who gets the vaccine getting sick.
Yes. It's not punished. They must be stopped. Let God punish them. It's just about stopping and breaking down the infrastructure of corruption that's overtaken our institutions and weaponized them against we the people. All right, that's enough of this. I can't even remember how this wraps up. Yes, we must get justice. Okay, 100%. We can see who is truly spreading the misinformation. Now that we can see what organizations and what individuals have been truly weaponized against us, this has all been part of World War III and has, in fact, been a deployed war tactic. They want us sick. They want us dead. Let's not ignore the facts right before our eyes. You know, we're going to skip past this. This actually, I mean, my gosh, Michael Jackson was even exposing a lot of the Matrix. The society we live in is nothing like the tyrannical rulers want us to believe. It is an illusion. It is more so the Matrix, the society we've previously weren't even privy of, weren't in the know of. That's why I view the pandemic to be the smoking gun and the silver lining, such a blessing. Yes, at a great cost, but it can be such a blessing. It's not if we choose to do nothing, then it's horrendous, and what comes next is only worse. But I did add this in there. I mean, what he exposes, Hollywood isn't. Let's get into it.
And Tommy Mottola is a devil.
He says it.
I'm not supposed to say what I'm going to say right now, but I have to let you in on a secret.
Say it.
So, please don't videotape what I'm going to say, okay? Because the companies take advantage of them. They really do. And
the companies like involved in Hollywood and the music industry and the sports.
Sony, being the artist that I am, at Sony, I've generated several $1 billion for Sony, several billion, and they really thought that my mind is always on music and dancing, and it usually is, but they never thought that this performer myself would outthink them.
Yeah.
So we can't let them get away with what they're trying to do, because now I'm a free agent. I just owe Sony one more album. It's just a box set, really. And it's with 2 new songs, which I've written ages ago. Because every album that I record, I write, like, literally, I'm telling you the truth, I write at least
There's so many that have been exposing the corruption. And you can see the outcomes, okay? It's not conspiratorial when you see. And golly, we've been sold a bill of goods regarding so many things. Are we just too out of tune to acknowledge, so blind to see the truth? Simply do your own research on a free speech platform and find out the truth for yourself. It is clear that on so many narratives we have been entirely duped. We've been gaslit. We've been lied to. We even got behind the fictional narratives that were spoon-fed us with full commitment, having no idea. I myself was one of them. So if we can't properly acknowledge the truth now, what in fact will continue? We will continue to support bankers' wars, the cabal's bidding, Satan's bidding. Wars on innocence and blood will end up on our hands. 100%. Look no further than what gets uncovered right here. And once again, if you haven't done your research, if you don't see the truth of what is shined right here, then you will continue. You won't to support bad things and be blinded to your own detriment. You won't even be free in your own mind.
To say, wake up, Americans. You're about to be pulled into a war with Arabs, with the Muslim world, and you're going to be made to believe that something horrible that happened to you was done by the Muslims. But it wasn't done by the Muslims. Right. It was done by a wild card, the Israeli Mossad, that's cunning and ruthless and can carry out attacks on Americans and make it look like Arabs did it.
Right.
That's the literal definition of a false flag.
Yes.
You're right, that's a false flag. That's not my conspiracy theory. That's the U.S. Army report the day before, published the day.
A U.S. Army report published the day before 9/11. Okay. There's so much information. It's overwhelming. Like, in a good sense, is to overwhelmingly supporting a truthful narrative that in fact has nothing to do with the narrative and bill of goods that we were sold on 9/11. But so many individuals just continually blindly believe the lies, believe the talking heads, believe controlled propagandists, proven to have been controlled for a very long time, just lying and gaslighting us to our own detriment. It breaks my heart that so many soldiers, men and women, went over there, gave their lives under the guise of fighting against terrorists, under the guise of keeping America safe, when they more so were in fact supporting the bankers' wars, enriching the very destructive globalists' agendas to enrich them at the blood of our soldiers. Unbelievable. We got to start grasping the actual truths to not fall prey to this BS. The very synagogue of Satan in this existence, the bloodlust of Satan himself. We got to rule out the corruption right here at home. That's where it's got to begin. I pray that more than just the civilian population creates a proper momentum, but the men serving this and women serving this country get behind this truth movement taking place. I hope civilian and military and police and all service members or civilians unite. We must. We have an opportunity right here, right now.
Before 9/11. Yes.
Just absorb this. Before 9/11.
Call me any name you want to call me. That's the U.S. Army report. They warned us. They were telling us what Israel is capable of doing.
I said that the West really doesn't understand militant Islam. So I wrote a book in 1995, and I said that if the West doesn't wake up to the suicidal nature of militant Islam, the next thing you'll see is militant Islam is bringing down the World Trade Center. Militant Islam is bringing down...
What? Let's grasp this. You said it in your book dating back in 95? Come on. Don't glitch. Well,
I said that the West really doesn't understand militant Islam. So I wrote a book in 1995, and I said that if the West doesn't wake up to the suicidal nature of militant Islam, the next thing you'll see is militant Islam is bringing down the World Trade Center. Militant Islam is bringing down the World Trade Center.
Yeah. Deceiving others as though the militant Islam and other individuals, when Mossad itself was behind it, like the gaslighting, the deceit of evildoers is just unbelievable. It's crazy. We can hear individuals like this speak out on the dangers of misinformation. I mean, it's unbelievable to hear.
Information. Internet and social media platforms have given people unprecedented access to health information, but they have also turbocharged the spread of mis and disinformation, which has contributed to mistrust in vaccines and other health interventions, fueled stigma and discrimination, and even led to violence against health workers and marginalized groups. During the COVID-19 pandemic, falsehoods about masks, vaccines, and lockdowns spread as fast as the virus itself, and were almost as deadly.
Wow. What a crock. The true propagandists. Because the true violence was done by you, by individuals like you, by the ones you answer to, 100%, by deploying a bioweapon that has killed millions. What the misinformation that in fact you speak of, that you censored, okay, would have led less people to get the shots, would have led to more people living, less suffering. The misinformation you spoke of on ivermectin saving lives and hydroxychloroquine saving lives that you censored under your definition, your propagandist lies under misinformation, led less people to gain proper solutions to illness and symptoms. This, my friends, is the propagandists. These are the liars. But what a blessing when we catch these true propagandists, liars, and gaslighters, and their organizations, and the very individuals that truly fulfilled what they projected themselves. We now should know. But yet, once again, we should know. But the majority of us are still on censored platforms. The majority, it's not everyone in this life. Rumble's blowing up, and it's beautiful. If you're a content creator, get on there now. The monetization, I believe, is even better than YouTube. Have we reaped any reward? No. We are far too small. It's not about the reward. I mean, I would love to have millions coming into this platform to put that millions towards fighting this war, getting a whole team, kicking more and more things off, petitions. You know what? This is an issue. Let's deploy. Let's put everything that's coming in to that cause. Let's stop the chemtrails. Let's get these shots off of the shelves at any cost. Heck, we would find ways of magnifying those funds. We could put those funds to kick people off to go into fundraiser events to gain more funds to fight this tyranny. We just got to kick it off together. That's all we need. Let me go to war on your behalf. I am devoted. I am in this. It's full time. There's great sacrifice on my end that's going into it. I'm not saying that to seek any accolades. I want to promote and light the spark within all of us to do more. If your church isn't engaging in the direct threat to your freedom to even practice your religion, okay, or have the health to go into church on Sunday, then maybe second guess your tithe to that church and put it towards a patriot or an individual or a church that in fact is willing to fight for the freedom for the church and your health to go into that church. I am so convinced on this because, it's getting so bad. Right here, beware, USDA allows genetic engineering vaccines to infiltrate now even organic foods. Yes, I demand we arrest Bill Gates. Let's try him. Let's set an example with that puppet that we won't tolerate this, and let's carry that momentum to the bigger corruption. 100%. I mean, this lady lays it out wonderfully. I've played her before, and I don't believe I had this individual blocking the screen, but I guess his reactions could be, I don't know. I find them just distracting. But these are all the things, the WHO, the World Health Organization, the WEF, the World Economic Forum, has all said out loud. We can clearly see the progress on everything that is stated, that they've said out loud.
We're undergoing a soft coup, and the idea is to create a whole new set of laws and ignore the existing human rights laws and other laws under the pretext of pandemic preparedness and the biosecurity agenda. The WHO is developing through all its nations, but with the WHO Directorate in the United States in charge, a pandemic treaty and amendments to the existing international health regulations that will remove the human rights protections currently embedded in the IHRs, will enforce surveillance, censorship, get rid of freedom of speech, require governments to censor and only push a single narrative. Also, we will be subject, if they can make this work, to vaccines developed in 100 days, which the organization CEPI is planning to do. And one of the people who founded CEPI was Jeremy Farrar, who is now the chief scientist at the WHO, to bring this forward. Other things that amendments do is to bind the states so they're no longer recommendations but enforceable edicts. Provide a liability shield, get rid of intellectual property rights, move supplies from one country to another, enforce digital passports, and the Director General of WHO can demand that a pandemic or a potential pandemic exists. He can just declare it with no standards, and then countries around the world will have to obey.
It's not good.
Also, the WHO will tell you what drugs you can and can't use in your nation once a pandemic is declared. Obviously, the budget will increase. One Health is another part of this. One Health is a concept that was created to enable the WHO, with these documents, to take over jurisdiction of everything in the world by saying that climate change, animals, plants, water systems, ecosystems are all central to health. Also embedded in this concept is a peculiar notion that humans are no longer of greater value than animals.
Oh boy, bear with me. Trying to figure. And I apologize. I've noticed I should have ate. I don't like to eat before episodes because I don't want to feel kind of the effects of lethargic. I want to feel more sharp. But I'm actually gaining the shakes, and that's actually hindering me on the other spectrum. So I apologize. I am human, but let's mash through this real quick. Holy smokes. Yes, please wrap your head around this. Like, this in and of itself, the FDA will never approve nature products. Why? Why?
Anything that comes from nature cannot be patented. They're not interested in that. So, we translate that into the real world of FDA approval. Surely these drug companies aren't going to spend $20 million or more testing any substance from nature because it can't be patented. That, and of course the FDA says it's illegal to use unless it's been tested for efficacy and safety. Now you see the catch-22 you're in there.
100%.
Nothing from nature, regardless of how effective it might be, will ever be proven safe or effective according to the FDA.
Right.
It'll never be. Because nobody's going to spend the money to go through the test. So therefore, everything from nature will always be condemned by the FDA as unproven. Anything that comes from nature.
That is really important to grasp, and it explains a lot as to how these organizations have been operating. And it's not regarding our health and wellness above profits. It's all business related. It says so much. Truly exposes a lot. You know, I didn't even really wrap up what was stated here. Everything she stated, how is everything she exposed? And once again, it's everything the WHO and the WEF has said themselves. How is that not war tactics? Everything she went over. My goodness. All the links to everything we covered in this episode here today is in the description below. I challenge you, forward all this out. Forward out this specific episode to the best of your ability. The time is now. Let's freaking go. Let's be excited. Okay, we actually played that one. Okay, this is a great image. Come on. Come on. This blows up global warming hoax right here. Coca-Cola and their 500 brands produce 200,000 single-use plastic bottles per minute. Okay, and look at these landfills. Do you understand landfills and how much carbon gets blasted out of those? Carbon's not an issue, by the way. It's actually good. But imagine there's things we could do here, but we're not focused on this, right? They don't want to hone in on it. They want to hone in on cow farts. They want to hone in on your farts, what you eat, you driving, your vehicle, okay? It just proves it's another move for tyrannical control to enslave us, to encage us. That is the narrative. That is the motive behind the whole climate shenanigans. I mean, just come on. That really, we're visual creatures. That's very powerful. So let's snap out of the matrix. Let's gain real clarity. All right, this is pretty much the ending document, but what in the heck is going on here? Are they, let me pose the question, are they in fact getting ready for civil war so they can try to legally kill us? So, as I've looked into this a bit and saw it, because on my post, I genuinely... of course it just glitches again. I said, are you kidding me right now? I am reaching out to experts on this to see the depths of what this really means. we may need to assemble before it's too late. And this is incredibly alarming information. So this DOD directive, it seems it's been activated before, but it was more so outwardly to foreign threats. And now, effective September 27th, 2024, has been kicked off to more so look inwardly, yes, on the civilians. It's really small. It's hard for me to read. I don't think I can enlarge it in here, but it specifically states, it also includes all support to civilian law enforcement officials in situations where confrontation between civilian law enforcement and civilian individuals or groups is reasonably anticipated. So what he writes up here, this is the same feeling I'm getting when I read through the document. The Defense Department, with the stroke of a pen, has quietly codified its right to deploy lethal force against its own citizens. This is not a drill. The reuse of this directive, 5240.01, is a declaration of intent. The military, an entity designed for external enemies, now turns its gaze inward, poised to act with deadly precision when the inevitable clash of wills erupts. Now this is a scary thought, but this is design. They anticipate conflict. And in their anticipation, they prepare the battlefield. Our streets, our homes, our lives, and they will strike with the full force of a war machine built to crush foreign adversaries, but now aligned to dismantle internal dissent. Think about the play on words, what they're willing to do with free speech. The fact that this just got, by a stroke of a pen, quietly, this was it makes me want to look into, approved by Kathleen H. Hicks, Deputy Secretary of Defense. I genuinely want to look into what wokeness she's all about. The facade of representative government crumbles as the state arms itself, not just with weapons, but with legal and bureaucratic tools to enact violence under the guise of order. Might I add, under the guise of law and order. Wow. What was once unthinkable is now written, approved, and ready to be executed. This is not preparation for defense. This is preparation for domination. Be warned, when the state moves in silence, it is because it expects resistance. Martial law is always the goal. Wow. That does more so feel to be my conclusion on this. Why else is it being done? And why is it being done now? We're nearing an election. The fact it speaks out on civilians and groups. Think about the weaponization of words under their guise. We just went over it. We proved how egregiously they infringed upon our First Amendment. Look clearly here how this could be. So what are they seeing as a threat? Any opposition to their narratives? anyone that would speak out on another selection, cheating, fraudulent activity. Once again, the most morally upright individuals in our military forces have been effectively purged and given the boot due to the COVID tyranny. Man, I would challenge anyone in the service to see past any unlawful orders and more so fulfill your oath. Because this is crazy. When you look into the Constitution, guards civilian rights, the U.S. Constitution establishes a system of civilian control over the military, ensuring that the military protects civilians and upholds the Constitution, rather than serving individual interests or partisan agendas. Key principles include the oath. We got the oath right here. And it's to uphold the Constitution. And I added a link into the Constitution. We should all, because I'm sure there's more in here on the military-civilian relation. It'd be nice I'd like to find it out. But this particular link was pretty awesome because it has things really well broken out. And the amendments, the Bill of Rights, and First Amendment, Second Amendment, Third, and it just goes through and you can click into them and read everything. So it is crucial. We must know our rights. And through even understanding our rights, we will more so be able to effectively acknowledge all the infringement happening. And any tyrannical group or government that is oppressive to this right here, we would be derelict in our duties to not abolish them. 100%. So with that, my friends, it's a longer episode than I was expecting today, and my goodness, my poor body needs some substance. I'm dying. I sure hope this helped. I mean, I hope it didn't just scare ya. I mean, we didn't address the COVID crimes. We are an occupied, conquered country. That much is clear. And what took place in the military is egregious, unbelievable. So once again, what is more important, to stay blind and blue-pilled in the matrix, or break out of it and potentially shift the outcomes to the betterment of our families? Because ignorance is not going to lead to a good solution. 100%. So we got opportunity to get more organized right now. And more so fulfill our purpose in this existence. It's exciting. This is very fulfilling as a man, I must say. I challenge more individuals to seek God's will for them in this life. More than what I have to share, but the writing's on the wall. Look at history, look at everything, and if we don't seize our opportunities right now, my goodness, it's bigger than I told you so. It's just something I'm trying to avoid for us all. So Jesus is calling. Let's end with this. I freaking love you all. Thank you so much for supporting and doing all you can to help magnify what we're doing here. If you feel impressed and you want to come, whether it's bearing a testimony, whether it's speaking your truth, reach out to unmuzzledchat@gmail.com. I would love to have you on. We could do an audio recording, or I'll send you a link in here and you can pop in front of your phone or a laptop, and it would be great to have you. October 16th. I just love how this continually has us seek his love. We need that. We need the armor of God more than ever. We need his blessing more than ever. We need his comfort and his truth, his light more than ever. So yet again it states, look to me continually for help, comfort, and companionship, because I am always by your side. The briefest glance can connect you with me. It's so true. When you look to me for help, it flows freely from my presence. This recognition of your need for me in the small matters as well as the large ones keeps your spirit or you spiritually alive. It's so true. Don't lead to spiritual death. I've been there. It sucks. It feels like I was even recently walking in it due to my own character defects. It's a forever work. When you need comfort, I love to enfold you in my arms and enable you not only to feel comforted, but also to be a channel through whom comfort others. Thus you are doubly blessed because a living channel absorbs some of the water. Absorbs some of whatever flows through it. My constant companionship is in the piece de resistance. Why does it say it like that? The summit of salvation, blessing, no matter what loses your experience in this life, no one can take away this glorious gift. Wow, I botched that last bit. Piece de res. What, is it throwing French in here or something? I don't know what's going on. All right, we got 3 biblical references. I challenge you to look them up. We got Psalm 34, 4-6, Psalm 105:4, and 2 Corinthians 1-3. Dang, we just hit over the 2-hour mark. I did not mean for that, but is what it is. I'm so grateful for you. I'm so grateful for this day. I'm grateful for the opportunities we got. Let's fulfill it to the best of our abilities. Live in the moment, yet do everything we can. Check out our affiliations. We all have health insurance, right? Business, also life insurance. Check out Insure a Patriot. When you reach out to them, mention UNMUZZLED, and you'll get a free analysis. Who knows? Maybe you could save money. But you're supporting a godly man. You're supporting another warrior. Check out that link below. We have Patriot Mobile. Mention UNMUZZLED. The only Christian conservative mobile network out there. I'm really just not in the mood to be plugging affiliations. As much as we need to be, I need to be. I need to somehow keep the lights on. But I'm so grateful for these affiliations because it's saving you money. It is a call to action that will lead to better things because these companies are, in fact, on the front lines on our behalf as well. So you win, we win, they win. It's all a win. It's exactly what we need in addition to the additional steps we could take each day. All right, I'm fried. I kind of feel faint. I really need to eat something. I love you. Check out the rest of our affiliations. Get prepared with American Reserves, EMP Shield, $50 off every single EMP you order. Get one on your vehicle today. Don't mess around. Check out Black Eagle Apparel. Support us by getting a UNMUZZLED chat t-shirt. Embody it. Talk about it. Have people scan the code. Not only is it bringing people to UNMUZZLED, it's bringing people on Rumble. That's why I chose the QR code to create it, to get people to Rumble, because it's bigger than just a UNMUZZLED chat. We must get people on social media platforms. Golly, we went over a lot. I pray we start taking more action. Let's reach out to our state representatives and demand no more poisoning. Let's go. We got this. God bless you. Wow. May God bless America. Until next time, take care.